Okay, we call the meeting to order for the Rutland Solid Waste Supervisors. The first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes of 2/5/25. Motion's in order here. Don't speak all at once.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, cool. I'll second.
That was Ethan.
I'll second it.
Any other debate? If not, all in favor say aye.
All right.
All right. Aye.
I don't hear any no's. Okay, motion carried. Monthly financials.
Hold on a minute.
Oh, Supervisor.
Good question. How come we don't have an old business on here?
We've never had old business.
Yeah.
There
If
has
you read
been
your
a past.
procedures right here, I've been here since about November. I've been real quiet because I've been studying all this stuff. According to this, in article number 7, it says right in here, the agenda items shall be included at minimum, the following with procedure start and end time. Then it says call the meeting to order, approve draft board meeting from last time. Then it says old business, then it says new business. So there should be an old business on here. Because I would like to see the Casella thing come back up here that we had discussed and never approved.
We could do that at the next meeting, but that's not the agenda set for this one.
It doesn't matter. The agenda, just because you got agenda, that don't mean you can't go back and look at something. You can go over this agenda, but you got it, when new business comes up, you can bring that back up. If you're gonna go by Robert's Rules of Order, you need to stick by Robert's Rule of Order.
Are we able to amend the agenda?
Yes, yes, we can. The Constitution is written and we can amend it.
So we
You can
have
amend
these?
anything that you want to amend.
Well, I'm gonna
So
say,
now, what do you want to do, Bill?
well, we're not gonna do it tonight, but we can put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
We need to do that, because we need to bring up that Casella thing. The contract for Casella, we need to look at that.
Which one?
Which one?
Both of them, none of them, we have not approved any of them. Like when I called and left you a voicemail because I had questions on that, you never got back to me.
Okay.
January.
You mean the two contracts the attorney now is working on?
No, you had one, the first one here, that the attorney had wrote up. And we had questioned that, why did you send it to the attorney when we hadn't even seen it? And that should never happen.
The attorney is reviewing those at the moment,
Yes, he's reviewing them, but we never.
but they're not
Discuss them.
done yet because he's still negotiating with the two parties.
But we should have looked at them before it ever went to the attorney, and we didn't do that. Because when you brought that Casella thing to us,
We long time referred these to the attorneys.
Yeah,
but
but you
you
never
should
gave
not
it to the
go to the
board.
attorney
One
until
time
the
at-
board
One at
sees
a
it.
time here, please.
You should not go to the attorney until we have looked at it and approved it to go to the attorney. And then it should go to the attorney and he'd put his wording in it, because I understand that, you gotta have the attorney to word it.
Mhm.
That's, because his wording and our wording is totally
I
different.
thought we already had this
No.
already before.
That's what we did.
That's exactly
No.
what we did.
No,
We did not.
We never did. Mark told us
We
to
handed
send him, to
those out
email
for
him
comment.
ideas. One person talking at a time, you said, right? I'm talking.
Excuse me,
So-
you're out of order. I didn't call on you, all right?
Mr. Chair, may
Excuse
I
me.
respond?
Excuse me. Let him finish his first, and Mark, you could respond, and then
Gabe?
Gabe had said something that we've already done this. Am I correct?
Yes, I did say that. My comment was that we had already done this process, which is why it was handed over to the attorneys. We reviewed it. We discussed the pieces that we felt were of concern, including the pieces that Ms. Fennick had brought up, and we referred our concerns to the attorneys, and that is where they were sent by the board.
That's correct.
So
Yeah.
where's the paperwork?
Okay, I can
May I
follow.
ask, where are the minutes or the paperwork or the bullets
We handed
of
those out,
what
didn't
we
we,
talked
for them
about
to
and what
review?
I said? What did I say? I said a lot of things, Mark, right? You told me that I was very lively on my email and that I had tons of ideas. But I gave them to you and you said, can I share these with everybody? I said, we'll put together a bullet point of everybody's ideas. And so that was it. Never got any bullets. At the last meeting I asked about the bullet points, you said, oh, you guys have already seen it. Where is it then? Where is it? Why do you keep
It's with
telling us
the
that we
attorney.
did things, but we have, we send it to, we have to talk about it.
Not until the
So
finished
what was,
product
okay,
comes.
so Gabe, what was my idea that we, had discussed then? If Miss Phoenix gave an idea, what idea was it that you discussed?
I was referring to the points that you had found in the contract that you had brought up that were not in, that didn't appear to be being lived up to appropriately when you brought up the contract, and we reviewed those. We brought them in front of the group, and we.
Fuel and transportation? And then also the tipping pad? Are you talking about the Gleason Road contracts, or are you talking about MRF?
The MRF.
Oh, contract.
Oh, yeah, we're not talking about MRF.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're not talking about MRF, we're talking about the two Gleason Road contracts that are gonna expire on December 31st,
The
2025.
lawyers have that.
Okay.
And Bill is trying to say that we all already spoke about that and gave our ideas.
No, we referred it to the lawyers to deal with and come back with a finished product for us to approve
But we.
Yes.
or disapprove, either or. They gotta put the
I don't
language on.
understand why
Matter of
we're
fact, it's
paying
probably
a
gonna be
lawyer.
different than when we sent it to them.
Why do we pay a lawyer? We keep paying a lawyer. We send it to them, then we get it back because of conflicts, and then we send it back to them, and then it's gonna come to us, and then after we look at it, if we
The
approve
lawyers
it or
haven't sent
disapprove
anything
it, then we
back
send
to
it
us.
back again. So they're $200 an hour.
Excuse
and
me, the
they've already
lawyers
had it
have
3
not sent
times.
anything back to us yet.
Let me.
I know, I'm giving you an example of what can and probably will happen.
Oh, shouldn't be talking about this because it's not on the agenda,
Well,
number
we should
one.
speak about it.
Well, then it's gotta go into old business for the next meeting that he's referred to. Is to put it on old business for the next meeting. It'll be listed
And
under
that's
there.
what we need to make sure we do that.
We will do that. And maybe we might have something from them. We don't know.
Well, even if they don't, we still need to talk about it. Because I've got some questions that was never answered. So anyway, carry on.
Okay.
I'm
So
sorry.
next month we'll have old business.
Go ahead, Bill. Carry
It's a request, that's what we're gonna do.
Thank you.
Financials?
We have the appointment form.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong.
Here's a new.
No, I got it. I got it here.
Sorry about that.
Okay, supervisor appointment forms?
Tis the season for towns have their town meeting, and they usually do their boards, and they reorganize their boards. And as that time comes in, this slip usually goes out to the members and to the appointing authorities to, when they do appoint a new member to the board or continue the membership that we have, which would be great. Whatever their board decides, please get that into us. I already have one already, which is very proactive. So they're coming in. I'm also going to send copies to your boards and clerks and so forth to help get this thing done in the next month or so.
Yes, sir.
So I was reelected on the select board, so
Oh, good.
do I still need to do that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I need to have.
We gotta do it every year.
So when the select board meets the 25th of this month,
They just sign it.
I can have them sign it and send it to you. Okay.
Excellent. That'd be great.
That's usually what it's gonna take, about 2 weeks to turn around.
Yeah, okay.
Because a lot of boards are just reorganizing now.
Right.
Mine is not till the 17th, so.
I got it.
All set on that?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, managers or financials, monthly financials,
Did you want to go over the budget portion first? Or
I can go over the budget portion.
okay?
just
Yep. Basically, the revenues are, what we have here is actuals, not actual, well, what we have unaudited numbers for the budget, for revenues and expenses. For the revenues, we have $2,393,580, and for expenses, $2,399,347.
What
What-
page do you want?
I'm on starting with page 6.
Page 7 on the top,
On the
7
7th.
on the top, okay.
and then 8 and 9.
So it leaves us with revenues.
On page
And
10.
expenses, yep.
What page was it?
We're on page 10 is the total. It says revenues and expenses
Yeah.
and variance.
That number, I found the typo in the expenses when I transported it into the Excel sheet. And what it should read is, pardon me. We have
It's currently at $5,766.86 net expenditures.
expenses over revenues. This is at this time of the year, sometimes this changes slightly as the more things come in and more things get realized. Greg and I are working on a couple little minor tweaks that we have to look into that came out, and we can point those out as they're realized. But I think, considering the budget that we had that was not funded for the revenues because no surcharge was increased, I think we did okay. I don't like to see revenues
Yeah,
over
cool.
expenses. I mean, the expenses over revenues is something that we don't like to see. And I think with the challenges we had last year, I think we did okay.
Any questions?
Can I ask, under food waste, is it always a negative? Is that because, why is it always a negative on food waste? Because they get rid of it for free and then we have to pay to get rid of it?
What page you on?
On page 9.
7,000.
Well, it's a I guess the
Is it
common thing.
negative because they give it to us with no charge to them and then we have to pay to get rid of it? Is
No,
that-
they pay a charge. We get
Okay.
revenue from this.
Okay,
But at
so-
this point, expenses are greater than revenues. Right now, we take a look at the revenues of 6,500 and the expenses of 14,234. So, yeah, expenses were
Where are you getting
greater.
those numbers under food waste?
Says direct
The revenue,
expenses,
Oh, I see, 14, yeah.
yeah, revenue.
net income.
So we have more expenses than revenue on that.
Okay.
Maybe we're not charging enough. But I don't want to go up on that cost because
Yeah,
I'm looking for it to pay for itself. $7,000 out of a $2.5 million budget is not the hugest thing to look at. Not to say that it shouldn't be.
So the new contractor doing the Green Mountain is only half a year in here or quarter of a year?
Oh yeah.
It's a full year in here?
No. This is the old company.
Okay, all right.
Now January 1st we started with the new
Oh,
company,
so we started January 1st with a new company.
and it should
So
be
these numbers could probably change.
a little
Because
savings
we got, is it $4 less that we're paying?
for Ben.
That's about $4 less.
Less than we were paying last year.
Yeah.
Very good.
can I ask another question?
Yes,
Um,
please give us the page what you're on.
page 10,
Page 10, thank you.
MRF. I never can figure out the MRF, like it says 2024, the actual was 61,750. Is that the rent money? Is that what that is?
The variance, you mean?
And
Yeah,
That's what you're talking?
yeah, the variance on it.
if
I don't know, how do we?
Is that the
if
rent?
you talk,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay, if you're referring to the revenue source of $61,089, that's the rent.
Okay, that's up further. It's under lease income, up under revenues.
Yeah.
Under leased income, the rent is 61,000. It's at the top. But at the bottom, it's got the 61,750 under variance, right at the bottom line.
Oh, I see, we were talking about lease. Yeah, the bottom line was 61, so we made $61,750 on the MRF?
We had
Not really.
no, we have 61,750
Is the,
with revenue over expenses. for a total department line.
Keeping in mind that a portion of that is also the Casella expenses that we're trying to recapture for the MRF contract. Most years that comes in as a slight negative as opposed to net income.
I mean, technically, other than the rent, we really don't have any income from MRF, do we?
Just interest from the bank and then funds that are transferred from the general fund.
Right, so when we transfer funds from the general fund, is that to even it out?
It's to cover operating expenses like the insurance. That I believe that's the.
Okay, so we are losing money with MRF if we have to take out of the general fund.
Most years it is a small loss.
Sorry.
So I have a concern about the MRF because everything that comes into this MRF goes over the MRF scale, but we don't get a single penny off of that scale. And yet we're paying for a full-time employee to be there and do the work. And we're paying for his health insurance and dental. And 70% of his work is done for Casella and not for Rutland County Solid Waste. So should we someday, maybe on the next agenda, put on talking about how to get reimbursed for that, maybe charge $2 a ton like they used to for everything that goes over the scale to compensate for the worker that we supply? Is that something to talk about maybe at the next meeting?
I don't know how to comment on that. This is something that has been ongoing since I'm trying to answer your question. It's been ongoing since the commencement of this facility. The $2 per ton refers to something that's happening in the transfer station budget, not from the MRF.
So it never, ever, ever happened here? You're sure about that?
Not that I know of at this point.
Why would we be paying a person to stand here and do work for Casella and we're paying his salary? Why would we do that?
On Casella software too.
This is something that's, as I said, not to say that's a reason why it should exist, but this is what's happening in the last contract that is come up just a few minutes ago. It is something that we're able to share all the transactions that happen here in what happens up at the transfer station. It's a collaborative business relationship. It's something that has been inputted for decades, that the district and these volumes of material are essential. The knowledge of having them and receiving the revenue from these things are essential, that they align and everyone's doing the right thing.
So we're making money now? We're making revenue on recyclables? I thought we were losing. I thought you told me that we never make money on recyclables.
I didn't say that to
And
you.
it's a no
I did not
deal.
say that to you.
Well,
I
you said
explained
this is a revenue.
I explain it as,
How is it a revenue when we're always losing money at the MRF?
I don't know about losing money at the MRF, and you keep saying that. And I can, I'm not gonna, do I? Okay. Materials going over the scale here at the MRF goes as such. There's a fee for processing of each commodity. Sometimes it's different depending on the commodity. There's a market price. What is it, this price good for the market? And say if it's number 2 plastics, which is up this year, and we have our materials single stream plastics number 2, we'd get a revenue source minus the processing fee. So if the market price is $10, but the processing fee is $20, that cost us $10. If the market price is $50, we take away the $10 processing fee, we get $40.
Can you ask me?
Question?
So here's my philosophy. We own the MRF building. They lease 32,000 square feet. We are here with 1,000 square feet, which we shouldn't even be here. We should move up to the transfer station because we really don't need to be here. But being that we are here, we're renting this out to them. And I don't know any other landlords that actually lose money. So there's something going on that's not right with how we have to keep taking from the general fund to keep putting into MERC. It doesn't make sense. We should either go up on the rent or we should go up, at least charge for every ton that comes over our scale. And from what I understand, that used to happen. They used to charge $2 a ton. It was supposedly presented where you either pay for the employee or you pay $2 a ton for what comes over. But it just makes sense. I mean, it doesn't matter to me that this has been going on for decades and decades. You know, the economic times has changed drastically from decades ago. So I think it's something we need to talk about in the future so that we don't keep losing money at the moment.
And maybe something to put on the old agenda for next time, or old business.
That would be a referral to the attorney to include that in the negotiations on this contract.
But the contract that the attorney has is not this one, it's not MERC. The
Isn't there a couple
contract
of
that the
guys?
attorney has is
Huh?
He has it.
transportation.
He has it, he has it.
He has it for the MERC.
Mhm.
So when you get
So,
done,
I
when we
know
get
we
it
have
back,
two of
that's
them.
something we can go over, right?
Absolutely.
We can go over
Yeah, when
that
it comes back, yeah.
and look and see
Absolutely.
what we need to change. Or
And nothing is set, granted, hey, we can change it if we want to change it,
Yeah.
if it's on the front. But
This is
he
a,
brought it up to the latest revision on lawyer talk, so we've got it ready to go if we decide to accept it. But if we don't, then we can make our changes, then we can send it back to him again to redo it,
Because you'll have to negotiate with them.
to redo it.
and this is a privileged process where it deals with attorneys, it deals with agreements, contracts, and it's not going to be one here you go. It's going to be a process.
And it needs to be.
I agree.
Yeah,
I would think
yeah.
so.
That's a given, Tim. A given.
Okay. Continue.
Can we go with the financials then?
Yep.
All right, so starting on page 11, as Mark alluded to earlier, these are the December 31st, 2024 numbers, but they're not final yet. Pretty typical for year end. We've got a lot of things that kind of come in late. So we don't have everything 100% wrapped up, plus it's always subject to audit adjustments and whatnot. There's two things that are up in the air that could change it right now. You know, two significant things that could change it. That would be audit adjustments, number one. And number two is a prior year audit adjustments that we were told to push through. They had, from our previous auditors, they had adjustments from 2021, 2022 that they wanted us to push through in 2023. So it changed some of the numbers for the capital improvement accounts that we set aside funding for. So I'll go over that when we get to it. But basically, those numbers are probably going to change because we need to adjust them to match what the board approved for 2024 for the capital improvement budget. So anyway, on page 11, general fund total revenues for the year were $2,393,579.99. Next page, actually page number 13, total expenditures of $2,399,346.85. Gives us, as we mentioned earlier with Mark, excess expenditures over revenue of $5,766.86. If we flip to the next page, you got the balance sheet for the general fund. Total assets of $877,590.78. Page 15, we've got total liabilities of $46,183.27. This is what I was discussing just a minute ago. If you look at the long-term liabilities, the accrued SIP, which is accrued capital improvement plan for stormwater, And capital expense reserves, notice those two numbers are negatives. Was the result of the audit adjustments that they had us push through. Those really should not be negative numbers ever. So we've got to kind of go through and make these tie out to the capital improvement budget that the board approved in 2024. So whatever that adjustment ends up being, it could impact the net income. So once I sort all that out, we'll have a better idea. But anyway, total capital is $923,744.05. And total liability capital, $877,590.78. Next page is the MERF income statement. Total revenue is $80,576.76. Total expenses, $18,827.10, giving us net income of $61,749.66. One thing I guess I'd like to point out, we're talking about, the MERF basically losing money by a small margin each year. If you look at prior year column, 2023, you'll see that it lost $2,426.79. If you look operationally at what we do with the MERF, most of the income is rent, and most of the expense is actually depreciation. So that's not an operational cost. We're not actually spending cash on that depreciation. So if you take that out of the question, operationally, we're actually making quite a bit of money on the MERF. It's just that most of that income gets offset by our depreciation expense, which is to our benefit, really. So on paper, it looks like there's a small loss of $2,000 last year, but really most of that is depreciation.
So it's still on the same depreciation schedule. It's the same every year, it looks like to me. Is that correct?
Yeah, it varies slightly depending if we, purchase or sell any assets over there.
Right.
But yeah, it will basically be the same every year until assets are fully expended.
Fully expended.
And fall off.
Whatever the federal law requires us to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's all I've got, unless there's any questions.
Any questions?
Page 14,
14?
the top of the page. I see People's Bank, I see Berkshire Bank, I see Bar Harbor Bank. So we used to use one bank, which was M&T, and we used to have 4 accounts with M&T?
Yeah, it was People's Bank originally. I guess that
Okay,
account name hasn't changed. Where
okay.
it says People's, that should actually say M&T.
Oh, all right.
But that
okay.
checking account, the checking one, People's Bank,
Yeah.
checking 3, deferred compensation, and the MERF cash account. Those 3 were all at M&T, and we still have those accounts, and we're in the process of closing them out. And we have accounts open at Bar Harbor, which you'll see there's the Bar Harbor checking, Bar Harbor deferred compensation. So, and then there's also a Bar Harbor MERF account. So
we were in the middle of transferring everything over?
So those will be.
I just signed that paperwork a little while ago.
So is everything going to be at Bar Harbor?
Yeah, that capital replacement at Berkshire is going to be going to Bar Harbor as well.
Because we're getting a better interest deal with them, if we do the whole package with them.
And everything is covered in terms of like FDIC and collateralization, where we didn't have that with M&T beyond the FDIC limit.
Thank you.
Any other questions? How about at home? Any questions? No hands up, so we're good.
Bill, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So is that protection on that through is it through a sweep account?
Yes, it's a combination of FDIC limits, sweep account balances, and that's the way they're collateralizing it.
The reason why we did that, because we were only covered for what, 250,000.
Right,
We were storing, $600,000 to $800,000 in there, so we weren't protected. So that's why we made the motion a while ago to move everything into one account, and this bank came with the best deal.
We just did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So didn't we actually switch because we went to electronic checking?
With payroll we did.
Aren't we doing, okay.
Payroll we did.
And we're
Payroll's
using Bar Harbor for that.
payroll's a different.
We use a separate processor for payroll, but it does all go through that.
It goes through Bar Harbor though.
Yeah.
So the people are getting paid online, it goes automatic payment.
Right.
Well, before we were doing checks, I was signing all these warrants, man, holy cow. We,
Writer's cramp.
yeah, it was like, we don't do that anymore. So I think this is a definitely good move financially for us to do that, and move in that direction. It took us a whole year to get there because it was all this paperwork and signing and lawyers, and you know, we had to do all this certification stuff and certified stuff, and finally it's all done. Thank you very much though for getting us through that.
You're welcome. Mark as well.
And Mark, you too, I'm sorry.
Final touches coming up soon.
I only had to sign stuff. That was my only work.
Well, the big goal here is to start seeing some yields, whereas we didn't have that before.
So there's more income coming in that we didn't have before,
But we'll,
Hmm?
like income coming in.
I like money in.
like money.
Right.
Revenues over expenses.
Yeah, because in May and June, in May, June, and September, we were looking into putting the capital improvement money into money market accounts or something where it would make money. And this is supposedly the route we went with that.
Yep.
And it's making money. Is that true?
My understanding, right?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't finished transferring all the balances over yet, so we're not maximizing it yet, but I mean, we're getting there.
Heading that
We're
direction.
closing out,
Yeah.
we're closing out the M&T Bank accounts and transferring everything over to Bar
What a
Harbor.
pain to close accounts out.
We've got basically everything over there except for AP. I'm still doing through the old account, but we'll probably be switching that over, in March. I would assume that would be the timeline.
Okay, any other questions on finances? If not, we'll go into the manager's report.
Page 18. I had a visit from Vermont DEC Stormwater staff, visited on 220, and we met at the transfer station. We did some touring, and then we went over to, this is related to the multi-sector general permit, MSGP. And then we came over to the MRF here, and we looked at some of the things and how we're operating over there. There were some general comments made and observations, but they're being checked in. Some of the things that was mentioned about was our scrap metal pile. And, this permit process is just hitting the ground right now for the state. And they're going out there recognizing places that may need some assistance to do this permit. And conversations consisted of us in our plan to clean this scrap pile up and put them into 40 yarders and perhaps doing some processing. And this has been ongoing since for over a year now. There's a lot of things that are going to line up pretty well such that we won't have to put in this for this permit. When they came over to this place, they noticed something something minor, but that's getting worked out. I don't think there's going to be a case where we're going to be required to do this permit. I don't think any entity on this location here is going to have to do anything. If anything does happen, I'll reach out and let you know that we'll have to fill out this application, just like we did our stormwater application for the 3-acre rule. It's a process that I would prefer not to go through, but if it is something that we have to do, we'll just do it. Item number 2, Vermont legislation. In your packets on the next page, I downloaded some of the things that are happening up at the legislative session, as I usually do at board meetings, to things that are coming up and so forth. I guess one of the biggest things that the Managers Association is looking at is paint. And right now, they have this program called Paint Care, where it pays for the paint to be picked up, but it doesn't pay for any of the labor or infrastructure that supports anything above and beyond the paint.
No.
So there's an initiative to suggest that, this needs to be put into the new law that we're first in the nation on our HHHW EPR program. So we will receive the full cost, including labor, benefits, electricity, all those other associated indirect costs for the full cost of the program. So that That right now is up at the legislation. They talked about it today. This morning they were on talking about it, and we'll see how it goes.
Just a note,
I know.
things don't pass over next week, they stay on the wall for next year.
Yeah.
Crossover is happening next week, so if bills don't cross over, they don't work on them anymore.
Yep.
From one house to the other.
But you'll see many different things. If you have any questions, you can click on the little button that I sent this into you in the email. It brings you to the website, the legislative page, and gives you the detail where it is. And what you're going to see, the last I looked, is the status of the bill is in the third column or the fourth column, where it got read and introduced. And one or two of those might have changed in the last couple of days. But if you click on those links that I gave to you in the PDF, you'll be able to get the direction. Item number 3, there's a school compost and recycle and action plan being developed. This is going to be in our outreach person's mailbox coming in the next few days, but it talks about giving money or a grant to state for schools to help compost. Similar to the things like this board awarded a grant to one of our schools in a number of districts to help facilitate an easier and more amiable way of separating the food waste from the recyclables from the trash. The state's starting to do this now too. If you take a look at the previous page, 22 and 23 goes into this little introduction, copy and paste from what I received. Since I've been here, one of the biggest hurdles I've had is trying to get into the schools. It's finally happening. Item number 4, the 2025 SWIP grant award. The district, again, has been awarded up to $43,508 to offset our costs from our HHW program, our ROVA program. So whatever cost we can use this grant to offset those costs, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like grants. We like grants. A lot of people worked on this grant. Brianna was instrumental in helping out on this grant and working into this thing. We're hoping all the grants don't dry up. Last item on the report is we hired a new person as our lead generalist 2. He started here February 3rd, and we did lose our generalist 1 who was on. So we did lose him, which leaves us 1 vacancy for a generalist 1 position. But we're doing okay. It's good to have that lead person up there.
Haven't we been short one person for over a year?
We've been short. It's been a while. Yeah. Yeah.
Are we short more than one person?
No, I said 1 person is in the report. 1 person.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
While we're
go
on
ahead.
this, right here, what are we doing about the pile of junk up there? Gleason Road, all that scrap metal.
So,
Go ahead.
okay. Some time ago, one of the things that I was looking into was how can we clean that up? It's a challenge. Anyone that has any kind of responsibility over a metal pile at a transfer station, it's one of the lead things to manage. It doesn't look good. It's always looked like this though, which means it doesn't mean it has to always be like this.
Sorry.
Uh-oh.
No, it's news station.
Anyway, one of the things that I decided, other towns, other municipality, other solid waste districts have put out requests for proposals out to see who and what the best price is and how we can get it. And I think this proposal in its totality was something that showed apples to apples. And, well, anyway, fast forward to, due to some complications, some contract information that came forward at the last minute, we decided to pause that. We paused the award of that agreement to whoever. That doesn't mean it's over. Right now, we're still one person down, and we had to get some clarification on some contract language. And I'm hoping that the two come together at the same time, and we can start this process again to try to see how we can maximize revenues by processing this. We would have the idea that was spelled out in the request for proposal was that the scrap metal would be in a big 40-yarder, and we have the precious metals, things that would have higher value, copper, number one, steel, and so forth, brass, and trying to get the commodities that we use the most is what is the key to when we bring this out again to get this thing done. We know there's several players out there that are still interested in this, and as we get a new person and as we get more clarification on what this agreement means, will give us more of where we can go. I'll keep you in touch.
Questions?
Well, my thing is this, because I haul a lot of metal, I do a lot of junking.
Yep.
And I take care of the junk at the transfer station in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And I know what you're saying about as far as metal versus iron or copper but copper, when you go into copper, you got 3 or 4 different types of copper, and each thing has a different price, and you've got to monitor that, or you've got to have somebody you trust to monitor that.
Mhm.
Whoever, we put this out for bids, whoever gets that bid, someone's got to oversee it, because you can't.
There's value.
I'm trying to
Value.
think how, I want to be careful how I say that,
You're
but-
being recorded.
Yeah, and it is a tricky thing, but the way it looks up there right now is terrible. I mean, I was up there last week, and it looks bad, and something needs to be done,
Well, we have to, because the state's telling us we got to.
yeah, and it should have been done a long time ago, but I understand, it takes time to do that, and another thing up there too is the potholes. We need to fix them potholes. I told my nephew, because every time he goes in there, his landing gear drags.
Yeah.
And I said, if you break a landing gear, send solid waste to build to fix it, because there's no excuse for them potholes to be there like that.
That is on the plan. Brianna and I talked about that a couple of days ago, and that
Have you been
stuff-
up there and looked at it?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing. We had
No.
the issue, same thing last
Especially
year
the one
too.
coming right off the scale.
Yeah.
That's bad.
I've complained about that too. We filled it, but it just gets emptied every time.
That
How
stuff,
many times has it already been filled this year?
that,
Has it been filled this year already?
No, not this year.
Last year we filled it.
Yeah, okay, so it's winter time and that's what happens, so we should go up there with a truckload of
Well,
gravel and
I'm
fill it.
glad you brought that up, because
It's in the
the
works.
city of Rutland.
Yeah.
The solid waste district is on the city of Rutland paving plan, so they can buy.
Is that official?
Well, they were working on it, but I think what's gonna happen, because we got the surrounding, like the school and the city and some other agencies in the city have a joint paving contract. So he'll get the contract price, which will be cheaper.
Is Ira in there?
No, I don't think so.
You mean the contract price for stones to fill it in?
For paving,
For tar.
for blacktop.
But to fill those potholes right now,
We can keep
we don't
filling.
have to pay.
I know, but if we keep filling, they just keep coming up. We gotta really fix it. We gotta.
Well,
rip it
yeah,
up.
we can fix it after we
That's
fill
the
them.
thing, in order to get a pothole, you gotta grade below it.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
Yeah.
So if you don't, you're not gonna,
So we've been working on a joint effort.
It's a maintenance issue, for
But
sure.
in the meantime,
But we need to do something. If we don't do nothing but put some gravel in it to smooth it up, because
That's what we're gonna do.
we've had a lot of guys, I've had people call me and complain about that, and I say, hey, listen, I'm just one on the board. I can bring it up and hopefully something will get done about
I brought it up before, haven't
Yeah.
I?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Same time last year.
Yes, I did. And they did it. You
Yes.
filled it in, but now because winter, it probably all came back
well,
up.
this isn't
Well,
unusual
Frosty-
for this to happen.
Oh, no, it's happened all over the city. You fill potholes, they get empty every once in a while.
it. Yeah.
Without cutting them up and then do it right.
May I ask,
Oh, I'm sorry. When
Hey, just FYI, Wilk has that cold patch,
Oh, yeah,
and
that's good.
that stuff works really good for this time of year. Just saying.
Right in your backyard here.
Yes, we'll call him tomorrow,
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you, Travis.
Travis. Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Statement. Okay, so when we're talking about the metal pile, and we're talking about 240-yarders, roll-offs, I have a piece of paper here dated September 24th, 2024, because this is when we put out this bid for the metals. And we didn't realize that we already had a contract with Berkeley Waste Metals. That's why we had to cancel who we chose supposedly, because we already had a contract and didn't realize it. But as Nancy brought up at one of the meetings, she said they're willing to offer us a pilot program, which on page 2 of what they gave us, which I'm sure you have a copy of this, it says that New England Quality Service Incorporated, Earth Waste and Metals, recommends at this time that the Rutland County Solid Waste conduct a pilot program. So they were going, it says right here that they will install 2 40-yard containers and provide 6 Gaylord boxes. Now, this was in September, they were willing to do that. And they will waive any trucking fees. So we have the opportunity to clean that up in September, and we didn't do it. And you're saying it's something we've been working on and we're trying to do it. And we had the opportunity and we turned it, we never responded. We never talked to them. And we have a contract with them. And if they're willing to put those 2 40-yard containers and provide 6 Gaylords so you're able to separate, and they're going to waive the trucking fees, why would we not do the pilot program and try it? That'll clean it right up.
You want to respond?
As I said, the reason why we're not there now is we're low on staff. And you're gonna need
He'll do the
staff,
work.
you're gonna need staff to process this stuff. You're gonna need staff to separate this stuff. You're gonna
Even if
need
you
staff.
don't separate it, Mark, though. I'm sorry.
Do you want me to speak? You
Not
constantly,
really.
you
No.
constantly.
No, I really don't.
Excuse me.
Then why
Because
ask
I
a
don't wanna
question?
He doesn't say
I
nothing
wanna
when you're
clean it
talking,
up.
just so you
Excuse
keep
me.
quiet.
I don't do that to
Oh,
you.
Hold it. One at a
I
time.
know what he's saying. I know what he's saying.
Let him finish. and
It's
then
not what you want to hear.
Okay.
Go ahead, you can.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Now you can speak.
Even if we don't separate anything, even if we don't have enough, I mean, it's been over a year that we've ever had enough employment up there. How long has it been that we've been short employees? 2 years?
Ongoing, yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah. And so if we keep
The way the
waiting and
market is
waiting
for
and
labor.
waiting,
Do what, Bill?
It's the way the market is with labor. Ask any
but why
employer in
not
this
put the
town.
40-yard containers up there and clean it up? Especially if they're after us on how messy it is anyhow. And Kevin Elnicki has offered it and willing to do it.
Is he gonna bring an employee up there and separate it for us?
We
It's not
don't,
in that.
we don't need to separate.
Yeah, you
it.
do.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Are
You
we
gotta
still in
separate
that?
the metals.
Yeah, we're in the contract.
Yeah, you still got to
Separate it.
We're in the contract.
There's no employees from him. He's just picking them up
Well,
and taking them away.
You know what? Why don't you call and ask them that? How do we know unless you ask? But it would look a lot nicer to have those up there.
But we have to have staff to do that with. Right now, we are stretching them up there now.
Well, I got
Just
another
scanning what we
idea.
got.
We'll take off a scale person here that does that doesn't do most of the work for us. They do it for somebody else and we're not gonna pay for it. Let's-
Forgive my interruption. I realize I'm remote, but I'm not sure which topic we're on. I'm sorry.
Metals up at the transfer station.
And that's an agenda item.
It was on the
It is, it's under manager's report,
report. It was on the manager's report.
Okay,
number 1.
gotcha. Thank
We
you.
were- Technically, we were talking about the state coming in and doing a review on what we need to clean up the steel pile because of runoff. That's what this whole thing was about, runoff.
Mhm.
So, and that's
That's
why
what
we
it
got
was-
in this debate about
That's what
steel.
it boiled down to, is the runoff off the metal.
So that's why we need to put stone in there and
That-
mitigate that.
That was a possibility. It wasn't something that was stipulated as a must do. it's something that they initially said we will have to take a look at it.
Okay.
So,
Anything else on the manager's report?
no.
Okay. Open to the public? Any public? I don't see any public on the screen. There's no public here.
May I ask a question?
You're not public.
I know, but like I've said before, I walk out the door and walk back in.
Pardon me?
I can walk out the door and walk back in.
Oh, you're still a supervisor member. All right, there's no public.
So I can't answer the question.
No, you're not the public yet.
Oh, not yet, okay. Okay, that's good.
Okay, we don't need the executive session?
I don't see
Okay,
anything.
I would like to make a motion to go into executive session over personnel. I need a second.
To add to the agenda, you have to have that at the beginning of the meeting. It had to be would have to be put on beginning of the meeting.
Why does it say executive session if necessary on number 7?
Well, that's where it is. But if it has it, you usually you put it on. Well,
Since when
that's
did
why
we do
we
it that
do
way?
it.
When at previous
That's why
ones,
we do
I've
it.
had
I
Bill
put it that way.
say, Mark, do we need executive session? And Mark either says yes or no, and then we either have it or we don't have it. So because I gave everybody an envelope with the executive session material in it, you don't want to go into executive session to talk
What-
about
what
issues that
envelope?
we have
I
here?
don't know.
I don't have an
I
envelope.
don't have a
I
number.
didn't get one.
What
Well,
envelope
let
we
me give
talking
you
about?
one.
Yeah, it's too late now. I'm not gonna.
Oh, it's never too.
It's not on the agenda to deal whatever's in the envelope.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You don't have to have it on the agenda to go into executive session.
Exactly.
You just need to specify what it's for though, personnel,
Right,
contracts,
right.
whatever.
But it wasn't mentioned when we went into the meeting.
This has Gabe's name on it. Does Gabe have this?
No, but I have another one I can give to him, so you don't. You can.
So I didn't hear a second. I didn't hear a second.
Oh, I'll second it if you want a second. I'll second it.
All right, we gotta get some language out to go in the executive session
What
properly
about
here.
the people online? Do they have this?
Yes, everybody has.
Everybody online have an envelope?
I didn't have one, but you gave me one.
I don't have an envelope.
Only one that didn't have it, because I thought he would be here.
Well,
But it doesn't even matter, because if we go into executive session, we're gonna.
yeah, it does matter because I didn't see it. Now the members saw it to go into an executive session.
You have it in front of you.
Yeah, but it wasn't given to me before the meeting.
That's kind of big hitting.
It sure is. That's not what we do in our city. We can't do that. You
We're
can't
not
throw
in-
something on the
In
table
your
and go
city.
into it.
In your city,
Did you
told-
mail this to me in my office? Because I'm usually online.
No, I didn't even know you were on that.
Oh, really? I've been attending meetings.
Yeah.
Have you been online?
Yes, I have
He's
been.
on all the time.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I didn't see. I asked for,
Just curious.
I was just in your town.
I'm gonna
yesterday.
excuse
So,
myself.
so wait a minute, we need to vote on this motion to go into executive session for personnel matter, but I need to get some language to make sure we do this properly under the state statute.
What's it for?
Personnel matter.
Personnel. Well, we can always add it in like we usually do for executive session and put it in the minutes.
1 VSA 313 to appoint. The appointment of an employment or evaluation of a public officer is section 3. 1 VSA 313, section 3.
So we'll add that to the motion. All in favor, say aye. Any nays? No?
Nay.
Nay.
I think we're gonna need a roll call vote because I didn't get everybody's vote.
Can you stop?
So if someone call the roll?
Okay.
Do you want me to?
Please.
Yeah, you can do that.
Please.
Gabe, Brandon,
Nay.
Mike Jones, Castleton,
All right.
Tim Carter, Ira,
Aye.
Susan Phoenix, Menden,
Aye.
Clint, Mount Holly.
Nay, because I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Beth Philhauser from Pittsfield. Is Beth still here?
Beth, you still here?
Cooking waffles.
She's not.
Okay. Nancy from Pittsford.
Nay, because people haven't seen the material. Not enough people have.
Okay.
Paul Donaldson, Pulteney.
No.
Bill Gillum, Rutland.
No.
Ethan Pippin, Rutland.
No.
Chet Brown, West Rutland.
No.
So I have 3 yeses and the rest are no's.
Motion fails.
1, 5, 6, 7 no's.
Okay, so I would like, now that I believe everybody has it, and if Gabe is staying on, I will give him his. So I would like to make a motion to put executive session on our April meeting for personnel.
I'll second
Okay. No, we need a motion, she's telling me we gotta do that. Okay, if there's no other business, motion to adjourn.
that. So you want us to digest this? I'll make a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Do we need a second? No.
I'll
To
second.
adjourn, yes.
Say you adjourn. I'll second that wholeheartedly.
Because we forgot the pizza. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.